So, live. Okay. Okay. So, welcome back to portrait drawing in this series of drawing for the absolute beginner at the Ocean County Artist Guild in Island Heights. Last time we met, we took we were able to bring a picture, any picture we wanted to bring in, to practice how to get the likeness of a particular person. So in the first couple of classes, well, the first class, we did the generic proportions of the human face and the landmarks and placement of the features on the human face. And we learned how to shade the generic face. The second class we had together was when we focused on, expanding on our skills to learn not just how to draw a generic person, but to also get the likeness of a person. And what we did, and what you see here, I have this Picasso up here. Some of the things that we looked at were some of the shadow shapes. We focused on that in order to get the likeness. We focused on the angles, and we were using our pencil as a tool to get the angles of the different features of the face, as well as the overall shape of the face and the features of the person that we were drawing. Now this week, what we're going to do is, I did the basic shading or grayscale or the grisaille. So this week we're going to add other values, we're going to do blending, and we're also going to be using some other tools to build in some of the details and textures that we would see, whether it be wrinkles, creases, and textures of hair that we see in our particular person. But before we do that, we're going to go along, we're going to go to around the room, and we're going to take a look at what we worked on between last class and this class, or a review of what we did, because it's been a couple of weeks since we didn't meet last week. So I'm going to switch to my camera. I'm using my phone as a webcam here. Oh, why is that upside down? It made it upside down. How is that? That is crazy. Okay, all right, well, here we go. Now we're right side up. That was nuts. Okay, so, all right, well, now I'll know. Well, okay, so let's go around and see a little review here of what we did. Now, Suzanne, you were working, look, let's see. We have the face. Let's see if we can get the...
I just converted it to the black and white because I realized I should have worked from a black and white.
Yes, it can. It's very helpful to work from a black and white photo. So we have a good attempt here. We can see, how we can compare. If we compare the photo to the person, some of the proportions we might need to be adjusted. Like her face is actually, it's longer here than it appears longer. Her neck appears longer here.
Right.
Just in general, but
and her head should be tilted.
A little bit, and then of course we need to work on some of the values hair and stuff that we didn't get to yet.
Yeah, I also did.
Let's see.
I squeezed one 5-minute sketch in.
Nice.
But that
great practice.
Yeah, it was just a 5-minute thing.
Cool.
Just so I could say I did something.
It's nice that you're practicing, because that is very, very helpful.
I feel guilty.
Oh wow.
My sketchbook said I moved it from my art desk.
That's such a beautiful likeness.
I know.
It's so hard to do.
It's an excellent job, though. You really nailed it.
Beside me on it.
You nailed the shapes, the angles.
Oh, you haven't touched in and out, in and out, in and out. I go in and out of it. It takes hours and hours, because you see something, when you...
Right.
And you look at it for a while and you see a thing and they come back. I can't leave it out or I spend the whole day, but that's what I do.
It does take time, but again, a beautiful job.
Thank you. Wow, it took time.
I like your decision.
Which didn't come out great.
I like your decision that you did not make the shirt in your drawing really, really dark.
Yeah.
And it kept the emphasis on the face. If you had done the shirt as dark as it was in the photograph, it would have pulled our eye down. And I like that you decided not to do that. Isn't
Yeah.
that fabulous?
Well, yeah, it just, I thought it was not necessary. It wasn't for
Yeah.
the shirt, it was for the
You
thing.
focused on what was the most important.
Yeah, I just don't wonder, there's got to be quicker ways to get to it than I do. You know what I mean? I'm just in and out, in and out.
That's okay.
But those little tiny shadow will change the whole thing.
Yeah. And when you do this again, when you do it again, it'll be easier.
Yeah,
Because again, what we're doing here is we're creating new connections in our brain,
yeah,
as far as new ways of seeing. It takes some time to learn how to see in terms of, shapes and angles
be a practice.
rather than, contour lines. And, but, the more practice you get in seeing that way and in drawing it,
The cookie.
it'll get easier. There's a learning curve.
Yeah,
that's all.
sure, it is.
Yeah,
It's just,
so
it's
really nice.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Let's take a look.
All
right.
There's something else I could see.
Okay.
I've sketched before.
All right, so that's a great first attempt there.
Yeah. It's so funny because it's like long, but it's too long here. Like now that I'm looking at it again.
I think maybe his jaw is just a little bit softer and in more.
Yeah, I just kind of added that because I feel like it's wider, but it's highlighted.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think it was too thin before, and then it really looked like his chin was really long.
No, I think you did a pretty good job there. And then what do you have up front?
This was my little grandson.
Oh, how cute.
He looks older though. It's like
Yeah.
he's 3. He looks like he's like 10.
Yeah, I think you got it pretty good though. Yeah.
I think his eyes were pretty good. I don't know, so the shape of the face. I tried to get that.
I think it's a
blockhead.
little bit. I think he's a little bit too wide down on this side, maybe.
Okay.
If I had to. And maybe could be a little bit more angular. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. But again, that's a good attempt too. I think too that what might throw you off too is the fact that these lines around his eyes are dark and they're not so dark there. You see how his eyes in the photograph, you really see the pupils, like
Yeah.
they're so much darker.
Yeah.
And the top lip too might need to be darker and thinner, actually.
Yeah.
But really, that's a great, nice job. Nice job. Okay. Cool. All right. So we're gonna come back over here. Switch the screen back.
You get it nice and you mess it up, right?
Okay. What? Yeah. We keep staring at our work every time you look at it, you see something you can change. And you go and change it. Okay, so before I forget, who needs a new kneaded eraser? I don't think I got it. The ones I had, if you recall, they were really maybe kneaded erasers. I go back to here. Okay. So here I just have the and I need to blend that a bit. So I'm going to make it a little bit more continuous tone. This is a stump. It's a blending stump. Yeah. So that's what I'm using here to blend out all of this graphite. Now I know that I pretty much generalized over here, so I know that that's a lot darker than what it should be. But I'm going to use go back into it with the eraser and pull it out. I already kind of went back in with an eraser there and pulled that out, but here I'm just going to go ahead and. Yeah, yeah, you can make it darker. What I have found is that most of us are afraid to go dark. Right? So don't be afraid to go dark.
Go dark really slow. It looks okay, keep going dark.
And remember too that whatever you put on, especially with a soft pencil like this or charcoal, you could always take away. You know, it's not an all or nothing proposition. There are, you have options. And I might not have faded enough of the things here, but that's okay. All right, so I'm just going to go over the rest of the head, and I'm shading all these shapes, softening things up a bit, which might have gotten a little too harsh there. So, but you know, where we're going for the overall shapes there. So, okay. But what I like to see is now that I'm blending this, you know, I like that. Okay, I had this generalization that I've made, and now that it's getting blended, I really starting to like the way it looks. So from here, you know, once I'm done blending this, then I reassess and see, okay, what needs to be lighter and what needs to be darker. Like where are my blacks? Where are my, you know, where are some of the gray values? And you see how it's all of this needs to be softer. So I can go in and go in. Go in and pick a lot of that. Okay. All right, so I have this gray, and now I see where. All right. Okay, so I know that this side of his face, except for this part of, so now I could really start getting richer. This is the ebony pencil. Yeah, I love this pencil for looking back to see, okay, what is this black shadow shape within this really dark gray shape? And I'm trying to be as true to it as I can be. And I know that it comes in. There's a little light there that I can, but this is like completely black. You know, I'm gonna take another here. Okay. This is just to prevent smudging on the other half. Yeah, put a little piece of paper under it. You can use tracing paper. But you know, it's so funny because look at it, just all of that connection right there. I just love when that happens. And it has a really nice way of helping to unify your drawing when you focus on those connecting shapes.
What's this person again?
Pablo Picasso.
I thought you said.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy, right?
And of course,
Oh yeah.
when was this?
I am not sure. Was it the 60s? Okay. Yeah, so already I'm starting to see how oh yeah. There was a there was actually a series, was it a mini series about him that I started watching? I don't know if it I think it was right before COVID though. So I don't know if I watched the whole thing or if it was kind of canceled or something or I don't know. I do know I enjoyed watching it. He was a very interesting person, you kind of a player. Huh? No, yeah, it doesn't seem like he was in a lot of ways.
That more was too, there wasn't even a personality that was making it felt it, right? When somebody's on the, what was going on in this. Well, he went through, there was this blue period where he was like depressed. He was married to this one woman, but lives he was. And but they couldn't marry because his wife was divorcing. I said, she sounds like an amazing guy. And you know what, too, he didn't think, like, look at that art, it's got to be an interesting, emotional personality, but, what kind of name was it? One of his arts, um, an admirer with this hat that he had. And he told him, if you give me something for the painting, or a piece of work, here's what you do my hat. So his friend gave him the artwork, and he was there.
That's funny. Oh, I'm sure that would be a treat.
I bet you know, it amazes me when you see that type of, it's like, I can help myself, but I can, the things that get back, I can't, it's like, what was that in his mind? Pictures, because they all interesting. No, it's right.
Oh yeah.
Well, some of the down is so interestingly done. It's realistic.
Oh yeah.
It was a realistic and then imaginations that were amazing. But as a man, that thing, there's always I don't know if you ever read it. He was really from the time he was a child. Where those kind of
Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool.
And he would always make sure that he was on
Oh, that's his style.
cover. Yeah, but that person, that mindset, right? It's like, wow, and then who is all night, wrote a book about her biography, The Woman Who Said No. Wait, was it?
That was Picasso. Um, Dali's wife was named Gala,
Yeah, right.
wasn't it? Yeah, Gala. Yeah. And he would paint her, you know, like she was like yeah, oh yeah. He was like obsessed with her, I think. Like really.
There is a painting that she did in the Dali Museum in St. Petersburg. And like up close, it looks like Abraham Lincoln. And the further that you walk back from it, they fall. And it's all done in little cubes. Yeah. What was it that you did that? What was it? I mean, it was a lot. As you walk further and further back, that's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
that's, that's what makes me that they're having.
So even like in his eyes here, they're just so dark. Oh yeah. Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm going back in. Okay, so like for the glare spots in the eyes, if I didn't preserve it well, I could go in, erase that out. See that? It really helps with those types of details, and then there's a fainter light there, and that's what really makes that can really make a drawing pop when you of a person when you have that glare just right. Do it over here. There's another little glare there. And then I have to go back in and get that pupil really dark on that side. He has really, really dark eyes. It's really interesting. And the outside of the iris there is pretty dark. And then I already have a gummy. Okay. All right. So I could use the gummy here. Now I went back in and I created some really black. Oh, I didn't make that ear really black. Then I can go in and erase out some of the reflected light because on his face here, there's some reflected light near the ear. So I can take my kneaded eraser and I can put that in here, and then there's another light here, like that. And then here, there's that shape of light in his cheek there. You can erase that out. And I can go in still with the kneaded eraser, and I can go in and or with the pencil eraser, and wrong pencil, okay, and take out all those finer details, lights around the eyes, but erasing them out still keeps everything really nice and soft looking, and not hard. I can just lightly rub that, and then right above his eye at the lid here, there's light here, and it has a shape, and I can erase that shape out. And in the inside corner of the eye, there's a faint light there, so I can take that out. There's a lot of cool things that we can do here. There's some other. Hmm? Yeah, yeah. And when you pick a photo, I think a reference photo of somebody, it's better if you can get one where not necessarily like a professional portrait where the lighting is so reflected on the subject that their goal is to always take out all the shadows, but artistically it is better to have like maybe one light source shining on a face so that you can get that dramatic shadow on one side and that dramatic shadow shape because there's so much beauty in those lights and shadows. That's why I don't really if you ever want to use a reference photo, don't pick a professional portrait. You know, the if you're lucky enough to get a picture where you have a brighter light and shadows, that's better. So that's a tip to know what to look for in a reference photo so that you'll be able to more successfully draw the likeness of a person because those shadow shapes tell us who that person is. It helps us describe the likeness of that person better than if all those shadows are taken out. Now, Sharon, she had a professional portrait as a reference, and that was and was still able, to create a beautiful portrait. But there was shadow in it. I think, well, that was an older photo though. In recent years, I think there's a tendency for everybody to look a whole lot more washed out with no shadows because it makes us look softer, younger. Look at this. I mean, this emphasizes, the frown lines, having those cast shadow on that side. You see all the wrinkles, and that's not what we like to see in portraits of ourselves most of the time, right? We don't want to see those lifelines. I call them lifelines. Yeah.
I was trying to do that car one the first time I was here, and there were so many lines and rivers.
Yeah.
Even if it's face and
Here we can get. Uh, I noticed too that I need to put like a thinner line back in there. So I'll do that. And I could still erase out some of the and in here, actually, where he's got when you're older at his age, your eyelids, you know, you get that fold of skin that starts to come down from your brow, right? Oh yeah. So I gotta take that.
Sometimes that seems stand out.
And then there's a brighter light in here that describes that. And those highlights have shapes. They have shapes too. And there's a right under that, right under the iris, the inside of the lid has some shine on it. And see that? And I can erase that out. And that gives that form, because that lid on the bottom, it's not just described by a line. It has a width to it. It has a thickness to it, and it lays on top of it. And the rim of the lower lid, it catches the light. So we need to capture that too. I can see that over here as well. And let's see. So I do still need to make some darker details under here, so that's good. That, and I do want to soften this up. So what you can do is your kneaded eraser is also a blending tool. So I can soften edges with it. I mean, it does pick up the graphite, but in some cases where there's a lot of graphite, it can help us soften transitions. And I know here there's some light here on that side of his face, so I'm going to come down here and pick up some of that. I'm not going to pick it all up because it's still a gray value, but actually has, let's see, so he has this, and then that comes in. Actually, let's pick some of that more. That's better. And there's some other wrinkles there. And here, let's see, there's kind of there's a little waddle that's starting to happen over here. So I'm going to erase that out. And I can go ahead and erase these. Darken in some respects here. Let's see. Because I see this also, this connecting shadow shape here. So I can put that in there. Actually, that neck needs to come down, see? So now I'm going to make an adjustment, make a correction. Every mark is a correction. I'm sorry. Oh, it totally does. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you're constantly making adjustments. Here, let's see. I can go up here with my kneaded eraser again. And oh, you know what? In here, there's some lights that I did not put in. So I'm going to go back to the pencil eraser and pull them in. That. Yeah. And that's not quite as wide, so I can thin that out a bit. And there's a highlight there. Now, this looks a little bit harsh. I can always go back in and soften that, but right now I'm just going to use this to kind of redefine that nose area and that light that's on this side of his nose. And going back into this shape of his nose here, pulling that out. Okay, so that's looking better. So let's see. We want to get, there's a little shine on the inside corner of his eye on this side. I want to make sure I get that. So there's all these little details, that you start to see. Right under here, there's a bit of a shine, more of a shine there. Shine shape comes in like this. But all of those little lights and shadows are what give him his character, so we can't ignore them. They're pretty important to his character and his look. So now I'm going back within that dark shadow to give him his character. Is the way I would probably describe that. So we this, right there, this coming in here. Back in with the heated eraser again. So what I would say is with the drawings that you have, maybe reevaluate your values. Uh, see, if you need to add any more lights or subtle shadows. You don't have to go crazy. Yes, right. Yeah, yeah. It's one of the hardest things to learn because it involves, and that's mainly because it involves so much unlearning. We're conditioned to look at things a certain way that's left brain, pretty much. So often, but we're equipped to be able to do it. It's just that, again, we haven't used that part of our brain. It just hasn't been exercised. But once we start exercising it, then we, that really strengthens everything. It makes all the difference. Let me see. Ooh, now I need to go in here. I have to erase this out here because that shadow shape looks a little bit different. And it needs to be a little bit brighter over there and around here. Okay, so I got that. I need to soften this line up here. And let's fix the ear on that side because there's definitely some lights and shadows that I need to take care of here. Maybe this shape is wrong, so I'm going to change that. And he has, let's see, there's this one here, his lobe goes like this. I'm going to, now we got to take the highlights. Do the highlights in the ear there, the lights. Erase out the lights. also on that part of the face. And, ooh, sometimes you have edges that disappear. And if that's the case, we'll then make them disappear a little, that's all. That side of his face where his ear is. This needs to be totally softened over here. Yeah. Oops. Okay. So lots more to pick out over here. Expression lines that I gotta shade in. This one over here. And let's see, I'm gonna go over here to mark a collar. Erase that out. Erase this out here. Put too many details in there. But I do want to make sure I have the darks where they're dark. So, negative shade in here. Wrinkles in the shirt. Here we go. Mouth, I gotta remember is dark over there. This is really dark. And there's his lower lip. There's some lighter lines there to mark out. But I gotta get some more shade on it. it looks like lips are not, top lip is not that big. That. Okay, so the other thing that this is good for, the pencil eraser, is like for the texture of the hair. So like in here on this side of his face, like the temple, I can go in and I can erase out some of, the impression of texture on that in his hair right there, where it appears to be lower. Also over here. Missing. Okay. So some more adjustments here. Side of his eye. Here it does need to be a little bit darker here. Let's see, especially here. darker on just that part of his nose here. That's better. Sometimes it's hard to see where what the subtle are. Come in and put them in, and then that'll make that pop more. More of this fuzzy hair texture. He's balding. He's pretty much bald on the top. But there's some fuzz here and there that I think I'll just leave that for the most part. Touch the background. Let's see. Let's take this collar and this side and give that the shadow it needs. Stop there.
This is much too much fun. Somebody else has a bigger shot of this. Somebody nailed it on your Facebook or something like that.
See things when I'm on top of it. I gotta step away.
We're gonna do fine charcoal today.
Yeah, we're gonna do charcoal next.
Yeah. Reminds me.
Oh wait, what time is it now? Is that clock wrong? Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess they did do the clocks. That's good. So for our next thing, we're going to work with tone paper. Now we have our choice of gray or tan. And so depending on the way you're feeling, want to try gray or tan. Feeling gray. Gray? Tan or gray? I have tan? Okay. We'll try that out.
Looking more like myself.
Yeah, you know. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that film. This Picasso, though, he's us. Games, doesn't he? Yeah, he looks. He looks worried.
I was told no.
So what I might do for this is, I think I'm just going to use the Picasso again, since I have it ready. And we're going to try out using the same process to lay things out. You know what? Let's take a little break. what I give charcoal comes in different hardness, softness range. The one that I gave you is a 2B, which is a medium. I also have hard and I have soft um, in the charcoal pencils. I also gave you a white, which is not really charcoal, it's more of a chalk pastel lead in it. And this is what we use to put in the lights, or sometimes you'll hear the term heightened with white. That just means that they've added the lights with white. So we already have our ground, which is uh, colored or toned. So to lay out the face, uh, because my left hand is always going to be covering the drawing. Okay, so we're going to use basically the same approach to drawing. We're going to use the black charcoal, and what's nice about charcoal is the harder the charcoal, the lighter the mark. But harder charcoal also has more binder in it. So, which means that it'll stick to the paper more. So, vine charcoal has it doesn't have any binder in it. So when you, this is willow charcoal, when you draw with it, I mean, you get these long, beautiful lines. But what the thing about vine charcoal is, or willow charcoal, is that um, it will easily wipe off, which is great. Which is great to start out with because you can wipe off your mistakes really easy. But when it comes down to, okay, I'm committed now to my drawing, okay, then you want to switch to a charcoal that has a little bit more binder on it so that, if you accidentally swipe it, it's not completely gone. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I gave you the medium, because it's kind of medium charcoal in the pencil form because it's got a point on it and it's not just going to fall off your paper. Although for like a figure drawing class, where you're just practicing, the willow charcoal is great because then you don't have to waste paper. If you're doing like time drawings, you can do your sketch really, and then wipe it off for the next pose that changes, just for practice and not go through a ton of paper. So yeah, that was something that I learned actually in a workshop. I never really paid much attention to the differences between charcoal, but I thought, oh wow, that's really great to know about the willow charcoal. I never realized or thought of the fact that it didn't have the binder, that it was just going to wipe right off the page, which it does.
Is the willow chocolate always like in a little stick like that?
It's fine,
That's fine.
and it's generally not compressed. You can get charcoal sticks that are, cylindrical, and that's compressed charcoal, so that's very hard.
Yes, and I know I have charcoal like that. I remember it was like so many years ago.
Yeah,
20 years ago.
yeah, it's either vine charcoal or compressed. I'll give you guys a piece of it. Just so it's really easy. Bird stick. It's a bird stick. Between the ebony pencil and the medium. The ebony pencil is a black body lead. The medium charcoal pencil is okay. So the other lead pencil. Similar to the line is the No, the charcoal pencils, it's a compressed charcoal lead encased in wood. That's what that is. So, so let's see. Like, let's just test this out really quick. Okay, so I'm just gonna make a mark with the vine charcoal, and I'm gonna make a mark with my compressed charcoal. And if I swipe over it, you see that it practically almost wiped all off with the vine charcoal. Now you can use this to lay out your sketch first. You can try using the wheel. See, and when I use the kneaded eraser, that vine charcoal is like completely gone. But the compressed charcoal, the charcoal pencil, because it has the binder in it, it's still, there's still a ghost image there. So that's when you're first laying out a drawing, this could be a good option to start with. Um, but the regular charcoal pencil is fine. Um, so I think I'm gonna use that just so you can see better. But we're just gonna use the same approach. We're gonna draw you can use the same picture you have. Um, where my landmarks are, and I'm gonna make one eye, two eyes to get my general distance. And then from there, I'm going to go and, do my angles to modify the shape of the head here. I can overdraw my tangents there to get the angles. His face is a little bit turned. I got to remember that again. So this is actually going to be a little bit more on that side. There we go. Now, when we shade, we're going to do everything else the same as before, except when we're doing our shading and when we're thinking about our shadow shapes, we're going to be thinking in terms of what I mark to be black, the darkest dark, and the lightest light, and not necessarily the grays, because the gray that's the tone of our paper. So we have to modify our thinking a little bit here. But oh, I'm sorry, what? Yeah, no, that's fine. Oh, if you want to try him, yeah, you could try him. Yeah, or something else. Yeah, any other picture. Yes. I would say, pick one for now. Okay, so I got my landmark for that. Got my landmark for my mouth. His mouth, not my mouth. And let's see. And then we have, kind of like his head. I'm gonna mark those angles. Hmm? That's probably not a good idea when I'm gonna try to do this. Where his mouth is where this angle comes in. Shape in there. Okay. Nose. Let's see. Chin there, let me get his chin there. Okay. Ears. Ear actually comes. Gotta make corrections. adjust the angle of the whole head. Move into that face, do that and tilt first because it looks like yes, we have a little tilting that. It's tilted a little bit. Yeah, look. I don't know if you want to on this side, I have some a little bit and just like
To the right.
Probably 15 years ago. I mean, well, in an yeah, this is, just get a feel for the charcoal. I mean, you find another piece, oh, yeah, you bring it different, So after this, mark where the shadow shapes are, so that I can. Hmm? I just block them out. You want to be, pretty general, not too specific. Treat this as one shape. Where's the boundary? The boundary is about right there. I can draw that in. Let's say it comes in like this. And start to shape. Um, just in general, now I'm going to go into this
and start to shade the black that I think I see in here. And once I have that down, then it'll also help me see, where I might have gone wrong and need to, reevaluate. Gray, you leave and I would focus first on the darkest darks, and then you can always go to the lightest whites. Dark here. I'm just going to say that this all reads pretty dark here. And then here, oh, we have this. I gotta mark that shadow shape. Sometimes I go in and I kind of, I might mark them in too as I go along. I focus on the smaller shapes. Now this is going to give you, some of the dark. We're not gonna quite go to black. We want it to be darker than the gray. Of course, darker than the gray. Coloring that, but we'll add, the really black blacks with a softer charcoal. So we'll save that for next time. Uh, and what's nice to, give you the softer charcoal pencil next time to use. So I'll need the pencil erasers back and the charcoal pencils back, and I'll hand them back out next week. You can keep the willow charcoal to play around with. Yeah, the charcoal and whatever the charcoal or white charcoal that I gave you today, plus the pencil. I'll take those back and bring them out next time. So we got this started. So next time, what we'll do is we're going to continue with this and with softer charcoal. But it's great. We have a great start, I think, on working on the toned paper. So